Mother Nature paints the world with vibrant colors from blooming flowers to stunning sunsets, yet she can unleash fierce storms that uproot trees and flood streets in an instant. The gentle sound of a flowing river can soothe the soul and bring peace to our minds. However, the same river can swell and become a torrent, carrying away everything in its path. Here in Kentucky, we are experiencing a few remnants of the hurricane with high winds and heavy rain. Dave is on standby as a lineman in case they get called out to restore power. But I'm in the cozy kitchen where today I'm embracing the warmth of a home-cooked comfort. Join me as we whip up some delicious dishes that are perfect for any gathering or a quiet night in. First, we'll create a savory taco soup, bursting with flavor and easy to share. Then we'll mix up some delightful mashed potato cakes, golden and crispy on the outside, soft and comforting on the inside. Next, we'll prepare a hearty breakfast that will make your mornings brighter. Quiche, biscuits, and gravy, a trio that's sure to satisfy. As we savor these dishes, I'll show you how to craft a beautiful pumpkin centerpiece using a simple pumpkin and lovely waxed flowers, adding a touch of autumn charm to your table. So grab a warm cup of coffee, settle in, and let's create some comforting recipes together. Isn't it wonderful how a little creativity can breathe new life into our favorite dishes? These crispy golden cakes are not only a fantastic way to reduce waste, but they also bring a cozy comfort to any meal. Imagine the soft, buttery goodness of mashed potatoes, perfectly seasoned and enriched with garlic powder and salt. We'll take these leftovers and mix them with a bit of cornmeal, some shredded cheddar cheese. As we form these cakes and gently fry them to a perfect crisp, the aroma will fill your kitchen, inviting everyone to gather around. Each bite is a warm hug, crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, and oh so satisfying. It's not too often that we actually have leftover mashed potatoes because everyone in my family usually gobbles those up pretty quickly, but we had some leftover mashed potatoes from our dinner the other night, and I decided to fry these potato cakes up, and it had been a while since I had made them, and Grant and Dave and Jackson even, they all pretty much ate every last one of them, and they dipped them in ketchup, and Jackson dipped them into his taco soup, and so they were a really great side item to have with the soup. We hadn't actually served mashed potato cakes with soup before, but it turned out really yummy that way, so you might want to try it. We are entering the final few weeks of having fresh flower blooms on hand, and I'm still absolutely loving creating and crafting with my flowers. This has been such a long, wonderful season for the flowers. They've done so well. And this week I decided to take some of my fresh blooms and actually cut them at their peak and then heat up some Gulf wax and dip the flowers individually into the wax and allow them to hang and dry overnight. There are so many different crafts that you can make with waxed flowers. You can arrange them in a vase, hang them, or press them. You can even use resin and create your own displays for a lifetime. But I decided to use one of the pumpkins that I had purchased, and it was actually one of the pumpkins from my front porch, but I decided to take it and I carved out the center of it, and I'm going to save the pumpkin seeds to roast later on, but I went ahead and just took everything out of the pumpkin and I added a small jam jar into the pumpkin, and then after my waxed flowers had hung and dried overnight, I carefully placed them inside, and by dipping your flowers in wax, it gives them a really pretty kind of rustic look to them. They don't have the bright color. It's more of a, I guess you wouldn't call dull, but it's kind of a dulled out color, but I think it looks really pretty with the rest of my fall decor, and I really love how this little pumpkin vase turned out. And I decided to sit it in the center of our table. And like I said, the wax flowers will last much longer than just flowers that you would cut and put into water. So I'm really excited just to see how this goes, and I think it would be a really, really beautiful table centerpiece idea to take several different pumpkins and carve out the centers. And then if you have any kind of flowers, if you have flowers from your garden that you have already hung to just dry, you could arrange them in the pumpkin for Thanksgiving. Or if you've bought flowers from the grocery store and you want to create a pretty table centerpiece, I think that would be such a beautiful thing to do for Thanksgiving. So I might keep that in my back of my mind and just think of doing something like that for our table centerpiece for Thanksgiving. I don't think I could have found a more perfect pumpkin to use for this idea, because it is such a round pumpkin on the bottom and so flat that it sits perfectly on the table. And I think if you've been someone out looking through a pumpkin patch trying to find the perfect shaped pumpkin, it's kind of hard to find something that's going to sit and evenly kind of sit there without wobbling around. But this pumpkin was absolutely perfect for that. And I had just enough flowers that it covered the seams, so you can't see where I've cut the top out of the pumpkin, because the way that I arranged the flowers, there are no gaps. So I really love it. And you can tell here the color of the flowers changed, so it kind of like, it made them look so rustic. And I know a lot of people like to get married even in the fall, and I think you could make such a really, really beautiful bouquet. Or if you're having someone do your wedding flowers, it might be a good thought to maybe wax them and then create beautiful displays that way. So I don't know, I just thought this was so pretty the way they turned out. I loved them so much, and I just love, like I said, the fall color that it gives, and just the rustic element, and then the way that it just kind of blends in with all of the other fall decor. I believe we were overdue a quite hearty breakfast, and my family was telling me that it was time for me to make a big family breakfast, and so I decided to do that. And I haven't made a farm fresh quiche in quite a while, so we have a lot of eggs that we're using right now, and I'm still getting my raw milk from a local farm here where we live, and some of the cream had already risen to the top, so I mixed in my farm fresh eggs with that rich, delicious cream, and I poured them over top of my sauteed green peppers and red peppers. So I had already fried my bacon, and then I just sauteed the green and red peppers in the bacon grease, and then, like I said, mixed my eggs in with the cream from our raw milk, and then I just kind of layered the bacon and the shredded cheddar cheese in with the eggs in my cast iron skillet, and then I popped it into the oven and baked it at 350 for about 30 minutes, and it was perfectly done. This is one of my favorite recipes. I don't make quiche that often just because it does take a little bit longer for it to bake in the oven versus just frying an egg or making scrambled eggs, but it does have a completely different texture and flavor. And I decided to make a homemade white gravy, a homemade peppered white gravy, and just kind of douse that over top of the homemade quiche. And then of course the kids really wanted some homemade biscuits. So most of the time I do use Crisco whenever I'm making my biscuits, but I have had some lard on hand. And when I do have lard on hand, we had purchased a pork a while back, and we had got the fat, so we had some lard that we had rendered down, or we rendered down the lard anyway. So we had canned it up, and I flew through it because I was using it to cook everything with. It was so good and delicious, and whenever we raise our pigs up and slaughter those, we'll definitely be getting us some good lard, and I'm so excited to have that to cook with. Anyway, so I decided to use butter today, and I just kind of love to experiment with different recipes, but I decided to use 1 stick of cold butter, and I just cut the cold butter into the self-rising flour, and it's 2 cups of self-rising flour, 1 stick of cold butter, and then I use a little bit more than 3/4 cup of cold buttermilk. And these biscuits were so good. I know it's because of the butter. Crisco tends to make the biscuits very soft, and it's good like that, but the butter just gives it that really good flavor, and it's just, you can't beat butter. So anyway, I made those along with our white gravy and our quiche this morning, and we had a wonderful hearty breakfast. And like I said, Dave is on standby, so he could be called out at any minute to kind of, restore power and go work on the power line. So it was really nice for us just to be able to get together and have a really hearty, fulfilling dinner last night with a taco soup, and then the good, delicious, filling breakfast this morning. I'm just so happy that you all are here with us and you're tagging along with our channel, and we just appreciate all of your kind comments and encouragement and support, and we hope that you all have a wonderful weekend.